So, hello everyone. Let's start our first podcast regarding Chinese business in Europe. I think many of the listeners are familiar with Xiaolong's podcast from the China Club, which focuses on experts talking about the Chinese business. But for this is the first podcast we have newly developed, which basically focuses on letting Chinese experts talk about their experience bringing their business out of China and putting it on the global stage. So today's guests are Kai and Xianghao. Kai is based in Shanghai and Xianghao is based in Vienna. So both will introduce themselves. The topic of today's podcast is doing business in Europe, key differences from China regarding regulations, customers, and sales channels. So I'm the host is Axel Kruse. I'm based in Shanghai since 23 years. And okay, Kai, let's start with you. Please give a short introduction about yourself.
Okay, sure. Okay, thanks, Axel, and hello, everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here, especially with you and Chen Hao. And actually, this is my first podcast, so it's quite a unique experience for me. And my name is Kai. I was born and raised in Hangzhou, China. Hangzhou is a city next to Shanghai. And later, I studied in Beijing and then based my career mainly in Shanghai for years. And during my early career, I worked at the Chinese headquarters of some major global companies, including the Japanese brand Sony and also the German media giant Bertelsmann. And after that, I joined Baozun. Baozun is a company which is the largest e-commerce service provider in China. So we served top international brands entering China. We help them build their online retail business, from setting up their flagship stores to handling their digital marketing and so on. So how about my current career? I actually we just started this company called Juniper in May this year with our founder Arthur and other partners. So at the very beginning, our intention was to build a so-called reverse Baozun, which means instead of bringing more international brands into China, we want to help Chinese supply chains, Chinese brands to go outside. So Juniper, we have several different roles. First, we are a distributor of some big brands. And second, we are also a service provider to do like online store operation and digital marketing. And besides, we also have our own brands. And category-wise, currently we focus on category where China is the strongest, like consumer electronics, small home appliance, and home furnishing. So that is about Juniper and how we started this journey to the West. Okay, thank you.
The journey to the West, yeah.
Journey to the West.
Many thanks, Kai.
Yeah.
Please, Xiaohao, introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Axel, and thank you, Kai, for having me. Well, actually, I'm the founder and CEO of Xiban. I founded like 2015. We are located in Vienna, and basically we are helping European brands and companies to understand China better and to enter the Chinese digital market. We started over with Alibaba partnership. We help Alibaba to find global suppliers and European suppliers to get listed on their platform. And we also like have a cooperation with Alipay and WeChat Pay. We have also like from this perspective of our talk today, we definitely help a lot of internet provider from China to find customers in Europe and to help them retelling their stories about their services and business models. and it's a very exciting model to do so. And I'm happy to discuss with you about more topics today.
Many thanks. So basically, we have one Chinese entrepreneur based in Shanghai doing business, expanding the business into the European market, and we have one Taiwanese entrepreneur being based in Vienna, Europe, helping European companies to extend their business into the Chinese market. So we can discuss all the topics from both perspectives. So Kai, I would like to start with you. Please let me know, why did you choose Berlin for your European entity, and why Germany, right? And what is your overall idea about the European market, and why Europe versus US? So give us some perspective about your overall strategy from the beginning.
Oh, okay, sure. So why Europe, and why now? I think it's because during my previous experience at Baozun, and we have found some big trends happening in China market. We found that China is facing some serious challenges, and for years, we have a word for that. It's called involution. In Chinese, we call it 内卷. It means very intense competition, because we found that thousands of factories and brands, no matter whether they are Chinese brands or foreign brands, they produce very similar products, leading to very brutal price wars. It seems that everyone is working harder, but actually they're earning less. So that is a very sad story. So we realized that the China market is getting more and more saturated, and maybe we need a new outlet, a new way out. So that's why we started Juniper and this journey to the West. And why is Europe? It's because we think we see that there is still much room in Europe for like e-commerce and mobile penetration. And second, we know that the trade policies here in Europe are more predictable and stable than that in United States or other regions. So that is the main reason. And besides that, I think more importantly, we choose Europe because it is very difficult, right? Very difficult for most other Chinese sellers. So we know that Europe is not one big single market. It's very fragmented. You have different languages, different cultures, and different laws. And even within the same country, it could also be really diverse in terms of this aspect. So for many Chinese companies, this is very scary. But for Juniper, we see this as our opportunity. We want to do the right, the hard but right things, because we believe that once we solve these problems, we can build a strong barrier against this competition. And why Berlin? To be honest, there is some personal reasons. I just really like Berlin and want to visit Berlin more. I hope this could give me a good excuse to fly there often. But yeah, but seriously, we have done some research on that, and we believe Berlin is the startup heart of the whole Europe. Berlin is very open, it's international, and it connects the West and East to Europe. And the cost of setting up a company in Berlin, we believe it's acceptable. And it's a perfect place for us, yeah, at least for now. And as for our whole map to the whole Europe, we regard Germany as our anchor and the base. It's the biggest market and with the most strict rules. And we believe that if our products can survive the German market, like if we can pass the compliance test here, like safety rules or the packaging laws, maybe we can survive anywhere. And we also think Poland is an important place for us because Poland is like a gateway. It's a vital connection because the China-Europe railway train stops in Poland. right? Which means it's a crucial area for our supply chain. And also we found that the warehousing in Poland is efficient and cost effective. And UK market, we regard UK as for scale, because since Brexit, the UK seems like a separate, different market compared to the European mainland. And many sellers, they left the UK market because they think it's becoming too complicated for them. But Juniper sees this as an opportunity. We think less competition means more market share for us, and the English, the language makes it easier for us to start. So that's why we choose these two markets as our first target markets. Yeah.
Thank you, Kai. It's very interesting perspective also that you talk a little bit about Poland and about the differences between UK and European Union and so on.
Yeah.
Xiaolong.Hu, tell us a little bit more about you and your clients.
Well, actually, we are only in German-speaking countries, so we cover Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. So for us, it's like more familiar to work with those clients, and well, that's
What are the
I think.
what are the most common misunderstandings those clients have about the Chinese market? What are your observations there?
Well, I think when it comes to when they have contact with Chinese companies, those clients that have the first impression of there's a new challenger in the market, and the Chinese they have different like connotation, like copycats, or they have low quality, and they don't really respect your culture and so on. Yeah, it goes on. And for us, it is always the task to harmonize these dissonances and to tell them, okay, what is real going on there in China, and the people they just want to understand it better, but they have to come out of their prejudice, and it's it's a hard work to do, and it takes a long time for them to accept certain Chinese companies or businesses. And it also, depends on which kind of product or services are you offering. Are you offering a physical product or non-physical product, or a service, or basically a knowledge? So it's very different. So when we start with the physical product, it's very easy to sell like wash machine or smartphone because everybody understands it. You will only compare the prices, the design, the functionality, and the warranty, and so on, the brand. But when it comes to services and when it comes to internet services as whole, people are concerned about data security, cyber attacks, and so on. A lot of topics that need to be handled.
So I have a question with this regard. Kai just now talked about how he, with his experience together with his business partner, sees the Chinese market, right? There are a lot of companies basically offering the same products, be it goods, be it services, right? So, and the market is highly competitive. It's almost self-destroying, right? So, what kind of advice do you basically give to companies when they are entering the Chinese market? Do you take this into perspective, or do you still have a very optimistic view about China as such?
When I give advice to a Chinese company, I think they have to really understand that Europe is diverse. It's a diverse market. You can split it into 5 or 6 domains. It start with the German, with the French, with the British, with the Netherlands, and then you have CE. So those are different market with different languages and customer behavior, and of the art of doing business. And I think you have to start organically. If you have the staff for that, you can go on, at the same time. but I think it's better to start at one point and try to copy or expand that. I met some entrepreneur from China, like Vivo and Oppo. They just launched in Austria, and I talked to the founder, and I find out that they are setting a very small goals to start with one country and doing well, and they will expand to others. Besides, you have enough resources and money and time for that, then you can go on different market at the same time. But then you would not really have one strategy for the European market. You would need like 6 or 7 strategies.
It's quite interesting, yeah. Is it due to culture or due to language or due to different buying behaviors? Why you say there should be different strategies? What is the main aspect here?
Well, it starts with the law and regulations. You have different regulations in Spain, unlikely in Germany, right? These are 2 different markets, and the people are different. In Germany, I think you have like this overcautious business behavior. You want to know everything before you get something done.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And in Spain, it's like, okay, good, let's go.
So let me ask Kai in this regard. Kai, when you set up your Berlin entity, right? So in Germany, your Berlin entity, which compliance topics were the most complex and challenging for you?
Yeah, sure. Speaking of laws or regulation compliance, I do have a lot to say because it's the most challenging part for a normal China startup. Well, to be honest, I think the biggest challenge, first impression was the speed. I mean, the very long process of the paperwork. Because in China, you can open a company just digitally in a few days. But in Germany, setting up our German entity feel like a long marathon. Many appointments and many signatures using emails and fax back and forth. It took months for us. It cost so much time for us to open our German entity. And that's one part. And the second is about the tax. Especially the VAT and OSS tax registration, because if you want to sell to more regions in Europe, you got to have the OSS registration, right? But even if you have this, you still need to understand how to calculate tax over 20, 30 different countries. This is definitely a nightmare for normal Chinese sellers. But we push through this because we want to be a local company, right? Not just a very distant seller from China. So we started all this preparation pretty early. We always wanted to make sure that we have finished all this paperwork before we actually kick off our business. So that is one part about entity regulation and compliance. And another part is about the product compliance, right? Because it's also very important. It's a big surprise for Chinese companies that you may be responsible for the product during its whole life cycle, even after it dies. Because in Germany, we found there is so-called the EPR framework. I think the whole name is Extended Producer Responsibility. Yeah. So I will take the air fryer that we sell for an example. If we want to sell an air fryer on Temu or AliExpress to German consumers, we need to make sure that we pay for the box, the cardboard recycling based on the Packaging Act. And second, we need to consider the battery. We need to register the lithium battery based on the Battery Act. And for the device, when maybe it breaks in 5 years, we are still responsible for the disposal of this device according to the WEEE policies. So if you miss one of this, you probably get banned from Amazon Auto. So it's very strict. yeah. And I think that is what I want to share.
Understand. So
Yeah.
Kai, so I think this was a very, very good overview regarding the German perspective, which probably is a little bit more mature on one side, but on the other side, probably much, much more regulated than in China. So I think this was quite interesting. So Xianghao, tell us, how important is it for Chinese companies to work with lawyers, consultants, and official institutions in Europe in order to comply to all those?
Yeah. Well, speaking of my experience when we helped Alibaba to launch in the Austrian market, we definitely talked to many of these partners and participants in the market. We talked to the Chamber of Commerce very often, and we have also like relationship building with the governmental personnels in order to gain like access to some events and so on. And we have been also talking to a lot of NGOs that are related to the Austrian-Chinese relationship. And well, it's all kind of very important to make sure that everybody knows there's a new company coming from China to this market, and we want to be prepared, right? And because I see that Austria is a very like elder people led country, so it's not, the power lies not in the younger ones. The power still lies, to the people 50 plus or 60 plus. So you have to make them feel comfortable to present your business here, and that was a hard task to do. And it is definitely very interesting to also observe that the power structure in Europe is like very balanced in through those institutions. You have the chambers, you have the market, you have the companies, and you have the governmental institutions. Like if you want to have a tax number, you OSS registration, you need to go to Finanzamt, right? To the Ministry of Finance. And if you want to recruit new like staff and employees, you need to have to go to the Arbeitsamt, right? And you have to really have a good relationship with them to say, okay, I'm now recruiting local employees, but at the same time, I'm bringing Chinese employees with me. And most of the time, I see that there's a challenge to get a working visa for the employees here. It started with like 3 years visa or 5 years visa. I have many stories told from my colleagues in Alibaba and also JD. It's not really easy every time, and they have to renew that and so on and so on. And that's why it comes to the importance to talk to a consultant before you understand how the regulation goes, and you can be prepared.
Understand. I think you said something very interesting about the market in the beginning. You talked about that the market in Austria is more for the elderly, right? 50 years, 60 year plus, right? So let's move to the customers, right? Let's move to the consumer point of view, to this kind of perspective, because European consumers behave most likely very, very differently than Chinese consumers. Yeah? For certainly, they behave totally different. So how would you two describe European consumers, and what are the biggest differences compared to Chinese consumers? Maybe Kai can start.
Okay. Okay. The biggest differences, I don't want to talk about stereotypes, but I think it's still very interesting because we found that Chinese consumers, most of them are very impulse driven. They do impulse driven shopping. It means they get emotional when they see something very interesting, like, oh, I'm browsing the the e-commerce stores, and I found something I like it, I click it, I buy it. It's a very short decision-making process. But according to our observations to German consumers, I think they are more research-driven. They are more rational, just like Chen-Hao mentioned, because how do I describe their shopping behavior? It's like they found something, they're interested, and they thought about for a second, do I really need it? Okay, I need it, so I maybe need to compare it with other similar products. Then I go out to do more research on that. I check the warranty, and then I think, okay, I will buy it. So the decision-making process is kind of different. So for Juniper, I think we need to slow down. We need to have better menus, detailed instructions, and provide German customers with better service to satisfy this so-called research mindset. So that is what I observed. And I would like to give you an example we observed on Temu, because Temu is a very low price e-commerce platform. Yeah. So watching German consumers, their behaviors on Temu is sometimes it's like watching a social experiment. It's very interesting. There is a very funny phenomenon that it's about their bargain instinct, because we know Germans are very famous for valuing the product quality. But sometimes, let's just be honest, Germans also have a very deep love for bargain, because Temu perfectly triggers this instinct. Our insight is that Temu customers, they are not just low income groups. We see many middle class people, even professionals or even rich people, they are browsing and buying stuff on Temu. And the very funny part is it's about their psychological conflict, because we see some German consumers, they're cursing Temu while clicking and buying from Temu. It's like this. On day one, they see a Temu advertisement. They say, okay, this platform is trash. It's all about the cheap stuff from China. It's not sustainable. And second day, they see a 9% coupon, and they think, okay, maybe it's just a phone case or some cable organizers. It's cheap. Just try it. So they click to buy. And several days later, when the package arrives, they open it and say, look, just like I said, it's plastic. It's terrible. I would never buy it from Temu again. But interesting thing is that next Monday, they're back on Temu and searching for more coupons. So we're wondering why do they do this? Because Temu in Europe, I think that the platform, it's not just about shopping. It's entertainment. It's gamified, and for many German users, it's the cheap way to have fun, even if the product quality is not perfect. But the process of getting such a deal is very interesting. And but for us, Juniper, we realize that these customers, they are tired of those junk, because they do need something good, the affordable quality. So as a Temu seller, we also do business on other platforms, but on Temu, we try our best to provide German consumers with the best shopping experience and the best product. Currently, we are selling MIDI's product on in our Temu store. MIDI is the best Chinese small appliance brand. It's spelled like MIDA. Yeah. And it's a leading home appliance brand in China, and we're selling their products through our Temu store. So if you're interested and you want to buy something, you can just go check it out. So this is something really interesting about Temu.
To my own surprise, if I might step in, only being the host, but because during the COVID period, I didn't go to Germany for 4 or 5 years, right? And so when I went back last year, basically, I found out that a lot of my friends, they are very loyal Temu clients, right? Temu customers. So it's exactly like you said, everybody talks about well, we don't want this, and it's cutting our prices, and it's certainly not good quality. It all comes from China. But in the end of the day, almost everyone I know is buying stuff from this platform. So, and they are all German people, right? So it's highly popular. So, Xiang, what is your perspective?
Yeah, I totally agree. The observation of Kai, and maybe I will just mention some additional point of view to the Chinese consumer, because we learned at the very beginning to tell our clients how to set up their product pages on Tmall Global or JD or PDD. They have to be very precise and, like provide an overload of information, because we assume that the Chinese consumer, they are also comparing very much, and they want to know about a product very in detail. It's like you compare a regular Amazon product page with a Tmall Global product page. On Tmall, you scroll, and it goes on like 2 or 3 pages long. And on Amazon, you stop at the first page, right? So, and I totally agree also with the fact that the European consumer, they need more touch points, in order to do a buying decision. So they need a lot of different touch points from platforms or from prints or from media and so on, to really come to the conclusion, okay, this is a product that I would definitely buy. And to the impulse,
could I just step in here? So basically, for Chinese brands going to Europe, because that's a very interesting point what you just now mentioned. For Chinese brands going to Europe, what is important to build trust with the European customers? When you talk about different touch points and all this kind of thing, what matters most?
I think you need this omni-channel strategy. You need to be seen through a lot of at least the major platforms. Instagram, you need to be on Meta, you need to be on Amazon, you need to be foundable on Google, but nowadays it's on ChatGPT. And you need to be found on Perplexity, all this AI search engine that comes into the e-commerce family or ecosystem. So it's very crucial to understand where your target group search, and where they perceive their media, and where they consume the content, right? But definitely TikTok is one of the major traffic holder now in a European market. Well, let me share you very quickly two scenario, or like 2 experiences I had. Yeah, the first experience is I met Temu business unit this year in Berlin, and we are in contact with the business development unit. They are telling us they have just initiated like a local for local program, encouraging local German brands or German manufacturer to get listed on Temu, because they don't understand themselves. I say Temu as like seller, or as like manufacturer. They understand themselves as a platform holder, like a platform where traffic comes in, and you can use the traffic to convert. So basically, Temu is a global brand and global platform. They don't care if you are from Germany, you're from China, or you're from Great Britain. They just care that if you can bring traffic on our platform with your product and your services. And that is one crucial point. And the other experience I want to share is with TikTok. Well, TikTok launched this TikTok shop functionality in Germany this year, I think in May. And they have really a huge boost of the awareness within the German consumer. And now everybody is trying to be part of this live streaming, live shopping kind of business, right? And I think it's very exciting to observe how Chinese companies involve itself in setting the trends in the European landscape.
Before handing back to Kai, I have one additional question. How important is social media in Europe? Because in China it is super important, right? But how important is it in Europe at this moment?
I think in Europe, social media is 1/3 important than in the US. And
So
yeah.
Please.
No. I think in Europe, I think the whole traffic goes to Instagram and to X. TikTok is evolving very good, and I think there are also smaller private domains. Yeah, which is like the social media is just in smaller groups, right? You can observe like WhatsApp groups. It's now very popular.
Yeah.
Not going to the big, social media where everybody can see what you are doing, but to share in the smaller groups. I think they're very similar movement from China, but there are less platforms in the European area than in China. In China, you have a lot of different choices.
True. Yeah, true. Okay, that's quite interesting perspective. Kai, please tell us a little bit about what are your plans to expand among different kind of sales channels in Europe. You talked already a little bit about it, and also Xiaolong mentioned a bit. So what are Juniper's plans for further expansion?
Yeah, sure. For channel strategy, I think the best result in the long run is that someday we could be everywhere, right? Customers can find our brands and products everywhere, but it's in the long run. And as for now, we must be very careful to choose where to start, because every new channel, they give you more sales opportunities and exposure, but in the meantime, they add up the complexity. Right. So if we expand too fast, we are very likely to lose money. So basically, according to our channel strategy, first we need to understand each channel's positioning. We divide the European mainstream e-commerce landscape into 4 different buckets. The first bucket is the most the biggest giant, which is Amazon. And Amazon is always our number 1 focus, because in Germany, we believe Amazon is not just a shop, it's a daily habit. And we have some data shows that 60% of all online sales in Germany go through Amazon. So if you're not on Amazon, you basically don't exist for half of the population. So we're launching some brand stores, flagship stores like Midi and Honor. We are open the new stores on Amazon to capture this massive traffic. So Amazon is definitely our first priority. And the second bucket is about the platforms like Temu or AliExpress or Shein. And the growth rate of this platform is still very high. And last year, Temu was the number 1 most downloaded app in Germany for almost the entire year. And I read a report shows that 1 in 4 Germans have already bought something from Temu. So this shows that even the wealthy Germans are looking for bargains on Temu, just as I mentioned.
Correctly.
And but the negative part is that the EU and Germany, France, UK, these countries, they're getting more and more strict with Temu, AliExpress, or Shein, especially the latest news about Shein in France, right? But we believe this could also be our chance, because these platforms, they need compliant sellers like Juniper, like us, to prove that the platform is safe. So they're actually welcoming us giving us more free traffic and exposure. So we want to seize this opportunity to expand our business on this kind of platforms. And the third one I want,
Just one short comment. This is something what I really like about Chinese people, because if there's a problem, Chinese understand it as an opportunity. So this is really something very interesting. Please go on, Kai.
Okay, yeah. And the third point I want to talk about is TikTok, because from operation-wise, TikTok is a very tricky platform, especially in terms of the very complicated algorithms, right? And currently, Germany has over 20 million TikTok users, and they spend tons of hours on it. But we also have a data shows that the conversion rate on TikTok is very low in Germany. Unlike TikTok in China, in Japan, in Korea, or other Southeast Asia countries, these people from these countries, they get used to do online shopping on TikTok. But Germans, they view TikTok more as an entertainment tool, not a shopping platform. That's a difference. They have huge trust barrier about putting their credit card details into platforms like TikTok, or trusting those hosts or key opinion leaders who are trying really hard to sell you something. So it's totally different culture in terms of the live streaming shopping or short video shopping. I mean, compared with Germany and other Asian countries. So right now, our strategy for TikTok in Germany is to use TikTok as our branding and marketing tool, but not use it as our conversion tool. We try to get more views and more exposure, but we direct the actual sales to our Amazon stores, our Temu stores, our own websites, where the consumers feel more safe and comfortable. Yeah. And the last point I want to talk about is the local e-commerce platforms like Otto or Kaufland in Germany. This kind of platforms, their advantage is not about speed. It's about trust and experience, because we know German families, they buy their daily necessities, they buy their sofas, their washing machines, their expensive furnitures on Otto. So the average order value on Otto or Kaufland is higher on Amazon or Temu. So that's the fact that we observed. And this platform, they have higher entry barriers especially for Chinese sellers. So that's why we want to have a German entity, because if we have a German entity, we can enter this channel much more easy compared to other Chinese sellers. There could be our mode, our competitive advantage, competitive. So again, in conclusion, we use Amazon for business size, for volume, and we use local e-commerce like Otto for premium trust, and we also open stores on Temu or AliExpress for speed and efficiency. So that is our channel strategy.
Thanks a lot, Kai. I think this was a very interesting insight, right, about the importance of different channels, and also about your company's channel strategy, right? Very well explained in much detail. Xiaolong, how important is an omni-channel strategy in Europe today? And I ask not necessarily from the online perspective, because here we already have some arguments, but much more from the perspective, because in my own experience, offline is still very valid in Europe, especially in the DACH region, right? So Media Market and Saturn, who most recently have been sold to Jingdong, still play a big role. So how do you see the importance of an omni-channel strategy, and what is the part of which offline still takes in this?
Yeah. Okay. When it comes to the point when speaking of a seller wants to reach the consumer, so omni-channel becomes very important, because as I said, you need a different touch points to build a threshold for buying decision to be made by your consumer or your target group. So it's very important to be seen on Amazon, yes, and on Zalando, or in Austria we have Haben.at, and your product should also be seen on Idealo. In Austria you have Geizhals.at. Well, that is just a part of the story. Then you need to work with influencer that will show your product or do some testimonials. You have to talk to Media Market. Well, now it's JD, because JD bought 75% of Media Market. They are going to hold this Media Market brand for 5 years, and nobody knows what happened after 5 years. So there is like a symptom from European consumer. They inform online and they buy offline, right? And this is kind of nothing new. And to have this only channel strategy is state of the art. But now it becomes more and more diverse. That on the one hand you have American platforms. On the other hand, there are a lot of Chinese platform coming into the European market. And the Europeans are starting to ask themselves, where are the European platforms? So where are we now as our digital business unit? We only know there's SAP. We only know there was Spotify. And there's Otto, there's Kaufland, there is Zalando. But are we really competitive enough with other platforms from somewhere else? This is something that the European business maker and decision maker are asking themselves. And it's very crucial, because only then you can have a sustainable economy in Europe, and not being divided from different forces.
So if I understand you right, the market as such is not growing, but the Chinese new retailers, right, online retailers, they are eating market share from the existing channels. Am I correct?
Exactly. And they are seeing. Okay, if you compare American platforms to the Chinese platforms, Europeans are more likely to buy on American platforms because they're familiar and they speak the same language. They have the same cultural background. And I think Chinese player would have a more difficult task to do, right? We start with like low prices, like high delivery rate, zero refunding policy, and all kind of like custody to make a customer happy. But is it really sustainable? It's my question to Chinese companies as well. So there is a criteria of Chinese companies themselves while going abroad, overseas. How can we measure the success in the overseas as an overseas company? I think one of them I read was being local, hiring local people, and contribute to the local economy. That should be the first. Yes, that should be the core criteria of success of a Chinese company coming to Europe.
Yes, but I think in the end of the day, every business works for profits, right? And profit is always something which is very, very much for themselves, right? Which very seldom is being shared. So that's just my observation. What I also found interesting in the very beginning of this discussion, we talked a little bit about Poland, and Kai talked a little bit about the importance of Poland in terms of logistics. Kai, could you talk a little bit more about what are logistical differences you see between Europe and China?
Yeah, sure. Before talking about Europe, I would like to share something about China's logistics, because we just had the Double 11 shopping festival. It's in November. Double 11 is the biggest shopping festival in China. It's like the Black Friday in China, and usually it lasts for weeks. And during Double 11, the Chinese logistics network handles over 1 billion parcels in just 1 week. That is like every person in Europe receiving 2 packages at once.
Yes.
And the speed is also very crazy because Chinese logistics company, they use big data and AI to predict the demand, and they move the stock, the inventory to so-called reposition warehouses, like community stations, very near to your house or near your neighborhood, even before you even before you pay. So the record for such fast delivery is that something like 9 minutes. It means you pay at 12 o'clock midnight, maybe nine minutes later, the delivery guy is knocking on your door. It's crazy. Yeah. So
It's crazy. But it's
another
extreme
perspective.
case, right? So
Yeah, it's
okay.
extreme case, but Alibaba and JD, they want to do some. They post many news about this kind of speed, but yeah, it's crazy. And as for the cost of the shipping in China, it's also incredibly cheap, usually less than half a euro, like 50 cents per package. So now let's look at Europe. We found that the logistics Europe and warehousing here it's also great, but the economics are totally different. First, it's about the cost. This is there was the biggest influence for our P&L. Like if we ship a standard package, usually a small package in Germany, like from Berlin to Munich, it costs about 4 to 6 euros for basic local delivery. But in China, 4 to 6 euros, that money could ship a very, very big refrigerator. Yeah, so the cost is totally different. Second, you need to consider the borders, because in China, if you ship 1,000 kilometers, like from Beijing to Shanghai, it's one flat fee. But in Europe, 1,000 kilometers means you're shipping from like Berlin to Paris. It's international, right? So the cost doesn't just go up like 10 or 20%. Often it doubles or triples. Yes, so that's the difference. And third, we need to consider some hidden cost, because if I look to the details of the invoice from our logistic partners, it's very shocking to me, because there are so many different logistic cost items that I have never heard of. Besides the base fee, there is a fuel surcharge, there is a energy surcharge, there is a peak season or traffic jams surcharge, there is a road maintenance fee. There are a lot of items on that invoice. So that is also another different story. So that is a big challenge for us. It's about the cost management, because in Europe, the logistics costs are so high that we have to be like as smart as mathematicians. But Chinese are good at math, so maybe it's not a big problem for us. Yes, and currently, our main warehouse is in Frankfurt, and geographically, Frankfurt is a perfect place because it's right in the center of Germany and Europe. But financially, we found that we still need to be very careful when we calculate our logistic cost. We have like 3 scenarios to share. First is domestic shipping, like from Frankfurt to Munich. It costs about like 4 euros, very simple. And the second scenario is that we gotta choose the most suitable carrier, because in Germany usually we have DHL, DPD, UPS or GLS. For a small box, maybe the DPD, the UPS or DHL is cheaper, but for a bigger box like DPD might be 30% cheaper. So if we pick the wrong carrier, our profit may be gone. Yeah. And next scenario is about some geopolitical factor, because we are doing pan-European business. For Eastern Europe, due to the Russia-Ukraine war recently, logistics have become a nightmare for many Chinese sellers because the trucks often have to take very long detours. We often see some cases that the logistic fee is literally higher than the value of the product itself. So that is also the math you need to calculate. So this is something I want to share about logistics. It's very important for our P&L. It's very important for more profit. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for the insights. Xiaolong just told me that there are some questions in the chat. The problem is I can't see them, to be honest. So yeah, so maybe we do it like this. So maybe we answer all the questions in the chat if there are some. We answer them afterwards. Let me give you the opportunity because we are also running a bit short of time now. 1 hour is almost done. So let me ask one last questions to both of you. If you had to summarize your top 3 learnings for Chinese companies entering Europe, what would this be?
For me, I think top 3 learnings first is compliance, just as I mentioned. I think compliance is foundation because in Europe, rules are rules, rules are laws. You should respect them. And second, we need to be more localized. We should translate the culture, not the words, because we know German is a very difficult language. So don't rely too much on AI translation. We should understand why a German buys our product and how we should deliver our selling points to them in a more local way. And third, I think trust, building trust takes time. European as a whole is a very mature market, and usually you earn trust over years, not days or overnight. So we should be more patient to build a trust with our European consumers. I think that's the top 3 learnings I have.
Thank you, Kai. How about you, Xiaohong? How about you?
Well, I think currently I cannot really share this kind of experience because I'm not a Chinese company coming to Europe and build up the business here. I can only share my observations of Chinese companies, the learnings they had. I think one of the things I definitely agree with Kai, the regulation is a hard thing to manage. And secondly, also the trust of the people to understand your business and services better is a kind of a challenge as well. You need to be telling your story to find the narrative that can really convince the people to buy. Well, and from long perspective, I think it's always better to think in win-win collaboration. Not only to think about the profit of your own, but also to think about the profit of the others. So both can grow. That would be, I think, the best approach.
Yeah. How about you tell us at the very end of the podcast how the listeners can reach out to you? How can they find you?
Well, actually, I'm on LinkedIn, and we have a website. It's cevan.com. So it's cevan.com. So if you need I think you can put it in the show note, and I'll be happy to get in touch with you.
How about you, Kai? Where the listeners can find your products, your shops?
Okay. I have to confess that I'm terrible at using LinkedIn because in China, LinkedIn is not valid anymore. So I really need to update my LinkedIn profile these days. So for now, if you want to reach me out, you can send email to me, and my email address is kai@juniperglobal.com. Maybe Excel, if you could add my email address to the show notes as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for listening into this podcast. If there have been questions, I have to apologize. I didn't saw them in my chat, right? So, but we will we will do the following. We will anyway share the podcast on a wide space, and then we will follow up with questions. Questions can be sent to the China Club. Later can be reflected on the link in LinkedIn when we put a link in about this podcast. So I hope the discussion was insightful. I personally found it very insightful, seeing things also from the other perspective. And I thank everybody for your time, and looking forward to have more of this kind of discussions. And I hope that also the listeners found everything insightful and helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.